like me?
Well, I just like to thank God for having the privilege to sit here with my grandson today and ask his blessings upon both of us, and that when I open my mouth, that I will speak something that will help others and that will be the truth as I know it. So I ask all of these blessings in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. And thank you so much
You're welcome.
for that. Thank you for raising me. Thank you for being on the Brink. So welcome, easily one of my most esteemed guests. Like Dad was here, and you're now superseding. I interviewed Dad in Cuba,
Okay.
and I'm now interviewing you in your beautiful home. And even coming out here, I feel like I battled like certain anxieties, feeling, during a pandemic that I could put you at risk, right? Or anything that me coming out, or like, I don't know, we're in this place that we're also in a civil rights movement. I feel like we're kind of battling two wars out here. So after, the recent movement, I call on a lot of my elders, and I'll say, well, here it goes again. Here it goes again. We're seeing another police lynching. And the resounding answer that I always get from you and other elders is, well, this has been happening since the beginning of time, or this has been happening since the beginning of America. Mm-hmm. And I think it's getting to a point where like that answer is just not good enough for me now. So if fear like wasn't already in us, it's now, I don't think we want to have that fear anymore. And I know that your perspective is going to be monumental in laying a foundation for how we can go forward in this country and how we can go forward in this world as Black, brown, and American people, global people. So Black Lives Matter is the movement right now. What are your thoughts on this movement, especially maybe in how it relates to movements that you've been a part of your entire life? Because I have the blessing that I have 80 years of history in front of me, and I've had that wisdom to guide me. I only have to stunt because you look amazing. So I have to throw it out there because it'll get the people mad.
Oh, well, it's really almost 80, God willing.
79 and a half.
Yes.
And a half. But what is your opinion on what's happening with this Black Lives Matter movement right now? And especially, and I want, in comparison to like the movements that you've seen in your lifetime.
Today's movement, I've noticed, different from when I was a young person, is more people of color, and also more Caucasian people are joining in and protesting with us. Otherwise, it's the same movement. We're talking about the same thing and trying to get changes that have to be done from Congress and the Senate. These laws have to be changed. And I'm happy to see people protesting with us, but it's going to take Congress and the Senate to make these changes. It's going to have to it comes from the people protesting in the street and saying we've got to have this done. But those people that are in office are the ones that are going to have to help. And they are the ones that will not help. Not at the moment, they're not.
Yeah. Consistently, I don't think they have, though.
And it's been like that ever since I've been here. You've had it from the top on down that would veto any change that we have asked for. So yes, you're still fighting the same battle. You still have the same fears because it was always there underneath. And what happened with that young man, Floyd, it just brought it out.
Yeah. Once again.
Yes, it just brought it out. So I don't see any change. We can march, jump up and down, and carry on all we want until they take us seriously, our politicians, and they answer and do the things that we need done in order to make that movement.
I see changes happening right now, and I don't know if they're the right changes or the wrong changes. And maybe in changes, like I think like we see Confederate monuments being taken down now.
Okay.
We see Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima.
Yeah, but those changes, Malcolm.
Yeah.
They're not from the government. This is the protesters. Mm-hmm. People are taking those monuments down. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We're removing those monuments, but we're not getting the substance that we need in order. Moving that monument was great. Moving those things are great. But yet it's still the police department still has a right to kill.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
Yes.
Yeah, above all else. Well, you mentioned yesterday, and I thought it was perspective that I just hadn't thought about, because I don't think I could care less about a Confederate monument. And so it's like, yeah, to hell with it. If it falls down, I don't care. Why are we glorifying men and women that hate us? Mostly like white men that hate us, or could care less about us. Like, I don't care what you think that they've done for the country, but you all own slaves, and we're glorifying slave owners. But you told me something interesting when I was like, oh, well, look, they're tearing down Confederate monuments. And they're like, well, if we start tearing down all Confederate monuments, we erase our proof.
Yes. History is very important. You know that I love history.
Yeah,
and
you do.
You've known it since you were a little boy. And my books, I read and I buy things. And I know it's right now I can say to you, oh, when I was a little girl, so and so happened. And you say, really? And then I can go and get the Bible, and it's documented down in there, or I can get a book or something and show you, when I was a little girl, this happened. But if you destroy everything, people can say, that never happened. Where's the proof?
Yeah.
I say take them down because they never belonged up in the first place.
Oof.
The reason is that if we won the war in the Second World War, and you brought a Japanese colonel over here and put him up in a statue, that's bizarre. You lost the war. The South lost the war. They had their own president. They had their own Confederate money. They had their own Senate and Congress. They seceded from the Union, and that means they were not a part of us.
Yeah.
And that was the fight, was to unite the Union. That was the first reason for the Civil War. Yeah. But yet, they decided after Reconstruction, setting up the Klan and all of those people in the Senate and Congress, the people who made the laws, and then they set it up with Jim Crow, apartheid. Yeah. In some countries, they call it.
Yeah, the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, and then they put up those people, the statues of those people, and glorified them. Now this happened. Your great grandfather was born 1890.
My great
grandfather.
Great. Okay, two.
And grandma was 1896. Now those people raised me. How many years after the Civil War was that? When they were born? 25 to 31 years.
Yeah.
In the time that it took to end slavery in 1865, by the time Daddy was born, Reconstruction was over. Yeah. And Jim Crow was in.
Yeah. Still slavery.
Yeah. Another form. Another form of keeping you in line and keeping their knee on your neck.
Talk about it, because quite frankly, because that's how I feel. And even if you're going to end Jim Crow, the psychological reverberations, the psychological slavery, the psychological warfare is still there. We're still dealing with the ramifications of that.
Well, yeah, because when slavery was ended, we weren't given anything to help us to have a normal, what you would call a normal free life here in America.
Yeah.
We weren't off, the carpetbaggers took as much as they could from us that the government had given to set us up.
Yeah.
To go on with the normal life, to blend into society.
Yeah.
In some forms, we got it, with Morehouse, Tuskegee, and those schools. In some form, we got it. So I cannot say we didn't. But when they were coming west, you're sitting in Nevada, the state of Nevada now with me. Yeah. When they were coming west, they were not given grants for homesteads. Not that I know of.
No.
And those people that lost the war, they were told if they would go west and homestead, you see.
Yeah.
But we were given nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to God to sit here in this house today, because even with no help like that, the generations, my grandparents and your great-grandparents, they all brought us up.
Yeah.
We went to school.
Yeah.
And we succeeded without the help.
Yeah.
In fact, in most corners, we were thumbed under.
Yeah.
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 It's very hard.
No lie told there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe let's talk about that. That growing up, right? These relics of our very, very sad history. You know, I've always grown up in your home with, I guess you'd call it Sambo culture, right? Or Sambo imagery. And I see, like, you know, Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima and all that, like they're being taken off our shelves. And I'm just like, okay, well, hold on. Like, we're here to fight white supremacy. I still want my cream of wheat. Like, I still want my pancakes. It's with all seriousness, it's not a joke, right? Like, or you're taking Confederate flags away, but like, I always grew up with this imagery, and I see the imagery as maybe just a part of our history. Why do you choose, especially when times I think people now they don't want to see it, even black people, right? We're lobbying to have these images taken out. I always grew up with sample imagery around your home, and even with these, and I've never really been bothered by it. Maybe upon recently, people kind of make me question it.
Yeah.
Why are you tied to these pieces of Americana, if you will?
Well, I grew up with those things. Like I said, see, it's kind of hard. Most of your friends and like my daughter and your uncles, they were raised by me, their mother. I was raised by my grandparents. They were turn of the century people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And their mannerisms and things, and they were from, I guess, old school.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I would say that's very old school.
What is it? Antebellum Southern lifestyle. They were from the Tar Heel state of North Carolina, okay?
Yeah.
And very proud, okay? And these are the things, when I was a little girl, these were in my grandma's china cabinet. Back then you had the china cabinet and all your good dishes. You didn't have, only on Sunday did you eat with those, use those. But I grew up seeing these. And so I never had an aversion to them. I tell you what I did have an aversion to, of walking past certain homes and seeing a black jockey and on their lawn. It was the thing when I was a child in the 40s. And he would hold a lantern, you know, like you put your lights out on your lawn now. But this jockey was black, and he'd have a hat, and he would be holding the lantern, you see. And I used to hate that. And the great thing about history is that a lot of people don't know is that we had black jockeys.
Yeah.
The trainers.
You sound like equestrians, like the ones that ride the horses.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
For a horse, riding horses and jockeys. But when it became fashionable and money making, then we were taken away from the job, and it was given to white people, and they made the money. Yeah. And we were behind the scenes, shoeing the horses and you know, and doing those things.
And so you're saying you were walking past people's homes, and it's like
It was embarrassing to see that.
Yeah.
And it was the thing because back in those days, you sold products with black imagery on it. That's the way they sold things. So Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's, and then the man on the cream of wheat, and anything else. Because white people love the idea of buying anything with us on it, especially if it had to do with work. Because that's what we were known for: washing, ironing, cooking, and cleaning.
And that's why, I mean, 'cause
And so I buy it to remind myself and to never forget. Because once you forget, things happen again. You get complacent. And you think you've arrived, only to be told, oh, I thought you were here. I found out you're here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to drag you back down to where I think you should be, with my knee on your neck.
Yeah. And
You understand?
Sure.
So I keep these things because I'm not offended by them. Why should I be?
Yeah.
I didn't make any money off of them. I wasn't selling my people like that. But I wanted to remember that this is the way you would do us, my people, me. You would sell products and make money. And you've been making money off of me with slavery from the grave to a cadaver. They even sold you sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
But they did sell you to these hospitals in Philadelphia and anywhere else as cadavers.
Yeah.
So they made money off of you the whole time.
Yeah.
You were insured if you had a trade. You understand?
Yeah.
Carpenter, cooks, all of that. Everybody didn't work in the field.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah,
had
if
a
you're
trade,
musicians.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I love that you bring up musicians, right? Because I think that's that's a whole nother thing that we also sold. Like all music in America is our music, and
Yeah,
we did it all. Country, yeah, we started
Yes.
that rock, we did that blues, we did that
Yes.
jazz, we did it, right? And how music and black music has grown into, like, talk about maybe your perspective, especially as like a black woman, in seeing the growth of black music, especially when the white man was able to make $1 out of it.
Oh, yeah. I've watched them since the 50s. They would have albums, which a lot of people out there know, my age, and they would not have the picture of the artist on the album because they wanted it to cross over, you see? And then I remember when the young people wanted to dance to our music, and they would say right on the radio, so you could hear, this is the elders at that time. They would call it Satan's music. Yes, that's what they would call our music, was Satan's music. But the children did not care. And then when Bandstand with Dick Clark, right there in Philly, 13 miles away from where I was born, in Chester, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
he would have on the different artists, and he would play the music, and those children loved it. They did not care.
Yeah.
But then once they found out, talking about the people who want to make the money, that this is going to sell and it's going to stay, okay? That's James Brown, Little Richard, that used to do nothing but the Chitlin circuit. And James Brown used to come to the tobacco barns, and that's where they would travel around, and we would pay $5 to see them.
Yeah.
This is Otis Redding and all these people. This is music.
Yeah.
So they said, oh, let's get in on that one. So then they brought in Pat Boone, Bobby Rydell,
Yeah.
the Philly, they brought that in.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to make the money, but it was all about us with the blues. We started it with the drums. After working in the fields all day and moaning and singing and in church.
And it's interesting how it grew. It then grew from there. I mean,
Worldwide.
worldwide, you know.
And jazz, it went right to Europe during Josephine Baker's days.
Yeah.
And they loved jazz over there.
Yeah, I think about even Mick Jagger and like the Stones,
Oh,
like
well,
the
yeah.
Beatles.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
when there was the exodus of B.B. King and all the artists that couldn't make money or make a living here in the
Yes.
States because they were black artists, right?
Yes,
They went
yes.
they went to Europe, got a fan base in
Yes,
Europe, and
yes.
then it was when the Euro invasion, right?
Yeah.
When the Beatles came and the Stones came, right?
Yeah.
All they were saying were like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're emulating
Yeah.
the black
The only
artists.
thing that was able to hang against that was Motown.
Mm.
Motown was the only thing that was able to hang against that British invasion. But I was listening to Mr. Crockett from Philadelphia about then. So,
Yeah.
so I was always with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, always with us.
then, like-
Marvin Gaye and all of them.
Yeah. What is your perspective on maybe I think where black music's evolved to, and more importantly, hip hop,
Yeah.
right? Because I think as I'm trying to find solutions and the answer for liberation of our people, right? I find myself very bothered when I listen to certain hip hop. I'm not going to say it's all hip hop, right? It could be any music that is rooted in misogyny. I can only think of black music that rooted in misogyny that outwardly targets black women.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, right?
Well, I felt bad when those young men would sing things and it was negative about black women. I feel bad because all my life I was considered a color first, a woman second. And now when I hear that music and I've got to be the age I am, I say I'm a woman, I'm black first. You're always a color first because when you enter a room or walk up, people see your color.
Yeah.
So I'm a color first, then I'm a woman,
Yeah.
and then I'm old. So I laugh, sometimes you kids laugh, and I say, I got 3 strikes against me. I said, because they don't like either one of them. The world doesn't like black. They don't like old people. And they take women and treat us like second-class citizens. Women all over the world, every color and hue, are fighting to be heard.
Yeah.
So when I see the black young men and they make their money off of putting me down, and I've always been put down as the last. Even when Ricky Nelson, I remember he sang a song a little about China doll or something. That was years ago. And he named every island and every place that he would, Polynesian, but he never mentioned going to Africa. Little things when you're growing up, you find how you're not counted, how invisible you are. I was totally invisible growing up. Not only me, I'm saying, when I say me, I'm talking about everybody out there that looked like me.
Yeah.
We were invisible.
Yeah.
When I would go to the movies and see Gregory Peck, who I loved, you see?
Yeah.
And I looked at those movies. The only time you saw me or anyone that looked like me was opening the door. Come in, Mr. John. How are you today? Take his hat and coat. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you might be at the club that night and tap dance for them. I said tap. When I was a kid. It got a little later on, you might see Little Horn singing. Or Johnny Mathis, but in my day, you were tapping.
Still no words. Maybe you can
No,
tap,
it's, I'm saying that's where you saw my color. Okay? But can you imagine today a whole movie and you got a whole street in New York and you're putting on a cinematic movie and there's no black people in it?
Yeah. Yeah.
No brown people in it?
Yeah.
How bizarre. But
that's
that
all
was
it
the way the world was when I was a child. We could go into the supermarket, my grandmother and me, and there are people that will be able to say, I remember that.
Yeah.
And she's been going to the supermarket forever, okay? A small market because it was different then.
Yeah.
But they knew her. And everybody had to be waited on, and then they would wait on Mom. And she'd put her order in. I watched that. And when I grew up, I'd make sure when I went to that deli counter, this is before they got the number. That's why they got the number. Because when I'd walk in, I would take everybody that was there in my sight, and I'd let them go.
Yeah. Because they were there first.
That's right. But if somebody came up and I was next, I would tell them.
Yeah.
I said, if you're taking people by who's next, I'm next. I
Yeah.
said, but if you're taking them by color, then she is. And then people would get, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I said, oh no, you're right.
No,
and they
was
said,
right.
and I go right on up and put my order in, because I watched them do it to my grandmother, and she had to live like that. But I said, I will speak up, and when I speak up for Mama, that they did that to her. So I feel bad when I see the young men and they make money and they wear those chains, and they don't realize that they took those chains, those gold chains, and they exchanged them for the chains that they wore. And they make their money. The reason I say that is because they make the money by dogging me and people that look like me, black women. And we carried them when no one else could. In this country, at one time, the only people that could work was a white man and a black woman. So it's not easy sometimes to see the young people do that to us. It's not easy.
When you raised us.
Yeah, we raised you. There was always
Lifted
grandma, mom, grandma, auntie. People that's not even related to you would raise you. So I get emotional about that because the world has always dogged black women and called us the lowest of lows. White men will come into our areas at night and want to know where to find one of us. And my aunts used to tell me that. So the one thing that I'm glad about today is that you see black women with anyone before 5. Yeah,
Sure.
we don't have to wait till 5 o'clock anymore
Yeah.
for a young man or a gentleman to come and want to court you, because now they marry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but years ago it was different. Yeah, so those young men, they didn't realize that, to me, that was another form of slavery, that they were working for old massa. Now, I'm not knocking them. People take every way they can to get out and make money and to better themselves.
Sure.
But I don't appreciate that. And I don't think there's a black woman alive that does. It's not nice.
It's beyond not nice. It's
No.
oppressive.
It's disrespectful. Yeah, which is a word, of course, in the 21st century that's almost lost.
Yeah. No, I definitely think so. I know, as black people, we find, and have always found, solace and warmth in the church.
Yeah.
But in a nation under God, I think church is very different for a lot of people, or what we receive from church. The kind of word we receive might be a little different depending on how you practice, or especially where you practice.
Well, I remember Martin Luther King said the most segregated hour in America is at 11 o'clock. But it's changed now because we have the mega churches and they welcome everyone. Me, I was Baptist, brought up Baptist like most, which a lot of people in North Carolina were, were
Definitely,
Baptist
yeah.
or Methodist, African Methodist Church, and but I'm Southern Baptist, and moved to Pennsylvania, and it was still Baptist, born and reared in a Baptist church.
Yeah.
When I grew older and I read a lot about our history here in America, and I come from the Keystone State, the land where liberty was born. I say North Carolina, that's where my folks were from, but I was born and reared in Pennsylvania.
Yes, yes.
And it's a Quaker state,
Yeah.
At least it was when I was a child. And when I first started reading a little bit about our history, I realized that the Quakers were the ones that really helped us on the Underground Railroad. When I think of religion, when I think of religion, I'm not talking about the abolitionists in the North with the Presbyterian churches, okay? Yeah, but those Quakers, they really did help us. I find now that I'm disappointed in the church, but I understand the church because
What does
I
what does that
remember
mean?
the reason I say that is because the church is always silent on certain issues, and it was silent in the 1800s when slavery. They did nothing. They said nothing negative about it. They went right on along with it.
Yeah.
In fact, in small towns, you'd have a hanging on a Saturday and folks be at church on Sunday morning. These are supposed to be Christian.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot to think about. So I listen today, I'm looking for the church again to say something. Now I'm not talking about the black church, but I'm talking about these mega churches where people have joined, and now some of them have spoken up, okay?
And not just megachurches
Yeah.
by black people.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. Not just
Non-black.
Yeah,
megachurches.
non-black. Let me make that very clear.
Very clear, because obviously a lot of black churches and black congregations have
Because
something to say.
they have something to say because they've always been our backbone. They've always been with us, our black churches.
Yeah.
That's where we've always gone in time of joy and sorrow and everything else.
Yeah.
But we do have some of our white ministers, male and female, that have spoken up, but not enough.
Yeah.
Because the church was silent during slavery, and they're silent during this. I don't remember seeing on the news anybody saying anything when the boy, the Floyd boy, was killed.
Yeah.
I would have think the church would have spoke up forever.
Sure.
I would have think it would
What
have
was
been on the
obvious,
news. Yes.
Like that's a devil right there, right?
That's
That's Satan. That's
right.
satanic. Like, and you would think that the church would come forward.
Yes, yes.
Or
I
you'd like
was
to think.
very disappointed.
Yeah.
Very disappointed. But I understood. I said, but they were silent before.
Yeah. It's nothing new. It's not.
Nothing new.
It's not off brand. It's not.
No. I don't know what to say other than that. I was very disappointed, but I realized that this is what they do, and they're not going to jeopardize their base, and their base is money.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
It's always about money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always about that woo.
So maybe as it relates to progress for black people, why and how should black people practice faith? Because it's interesting that I have a lot of, I find that, faith can be divisive sometimes, right? It could be, well, you need to be living to the book, and you need to, you should be doing this. You can't do this and do that if you should truly believe. And being raised by you, it's interesting because, like, albeit you can quote the Bible up and down, and I mean, you've probably lost count of how many times you've read the Bible, right? But yeah, like
how many I have,
and how many you have, like
different ones,
different ones, right? But you also research, like I think about your fascination with, like, evolution, trilobites, and modern man, and all of that, right? Some churches would say, well, no, that's science, we can't believe it, right? Or, like, why would you research or develop any kind of love or appreciation for another faith, right? And you talk about Kabbalah, and you talk about astrology, and you'll talk about different faith practices that maybe if you prescribe to secular religion, secular Christian faith, you shouldn't even be having interest in that, right? So where and how do black people practice faith that doesn't create divisiveness?
I cannot answer
Yeah.
for others. I can tell you what I did in reading and having people as friends of other cultures.
Yeah.
You already know, you've met them since.
Of course.
So I love them.
Yeah.
So I want to know things about them. So I'm open to that. I'd rather love than to hate. I don't want to hate. Hate takes something away from you. You understand? It makes you old, it shrivels you up, and you cannot see your tunnel vision. I don't want to be that kind of a person.
Yeah.
So when you meet other people from other cultures and other religions, you grow. That's a blessing to you. You're growing as a person. You're learning about them. And the one thing that we all agree on, every faith, is it says to love. That's all, love. The hardest thing in the world. You can go all up there in the moon and everywhere, but you cannot love. You can go up to the moon and everywhere, but you cannot have peace. Simply because you don't want to. Well, I want to know other people. I want to know about them. I want to hear about their religion because it makes me a better person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And people enjoy you when you know a little bit about them. Just speak someone else's language, one word, and they smile. So no, I think religion is very important to read the Bible, but I want more than to go 6 days a week doing what I want to do and then going for an hour on the 7th day. 1 hour, and sit there and listen, and still would not be able to come home and tell you what chapter the pastor spoke from. And most people cannot tell you what chapter he was in, what was his topic. They can't tell you that. But they can tell you what Miss Sarah had on. Said, oh, girl, you see her hat? Said, I wonder where she got that. She did it from Nordstrom's? You know? Yeah. I said, because, or the choir sang good. I love a good choir. You know I do. I used to sing.
Yeah, like, I mean, you've always sang.
Yeah. But people go to church and they go out. I think sometimes people go because I had to catch myself. It becomes a habit. It's a ritual. You feel lost if you get up on Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, and say, oh, I got to go to church.
Yeah.
What you going for? That's the key. What are you going for?
And that
are you going to be changed? Okay? Are you going to find something there to help you to be a better person? And so for me, I choose spirituality. At this time in my life, I feel that I'm more spiritual. And I like that. And I prefer that. So I don't go with the religion. I say I'm a spiritual person.
Do you think maybe then that's the answer? Maybe that's the question. Because I like to think, I don't know what to believe now, maybe, but I'd like to think, or I'd like to believe that it's almost an openness to good faith, good heart, and spirituality that might be the solution for this nation under God that clearly worships God in all very different ways, and maybe the worship of him is rooted in hate based off how this country is founded and evolved to.
I don't know. To me, spirituality is trying to have a better understanding of what God wants me to do as a person and how to act and how to treat people. And the reason I say that is because God is good. He's
all the time.
He's good. He's goodness and he's mercy. So if God is good and I'm trying to be like him, not perfect. No. I cannot be perfect in an imperfect world. This is an imperfect world.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm not supposed to be perfect. I'm here to grow as a person.
Yeah.
And for me, I did not grow in church. Church was a lot of things to me. I had lots of friends there.
Yeah.
We sang. We had a great time. I listened to great sermons. Okay? But until I started reading other books and trying to make myself a better person. And when you say, Nini, what's a better person? Trying to have a little humility. And it's not hat in hand and shuffling. That's not what humility is. It's realizing that you know something, but there's someone that knows just as much as you, if not more, and you respect them for that. You don't envy them for that. You see what I'm saying? And it's just trying to do the right thing for myself and for others.
Really, truly love thy neighbor.
Yes, yes, and it's very hard if you don't love yourself, because I never had a problem. Just be frankly honest with you.
You never have. I think
Well,
that's one thing.
Yeah, but you cannot love other folks if you don't love yourself. And okay, I say, okay, it's can't love them. Try to understand. And I think when we try to understand someone else's point of view or their religion, there's something there. I mean, if you're going with Islam, you have to understand that Father Abraham was, and we have the same Father Abraham. You understand? That they do.
Yes.
Now, they think different than us, but we still share Sarah and Abraham. We are still all supposed to be the children of them. Okay? That's what God said. He was going to give him so many, he could not count the stars. Yeah.
And so there's something to that link. We
Yeah,
are all one.
yeah.
Like nonetheless, what you believe in, you're still my brother, you're still my sister,
Yeah,
you're still my family.
right. We all call God maybe by a different name, but he is our God. Yeah, and if you believe that, and you believe that we're all human, I'm a humanoid, I'm not an android.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't get it twisted. God loves me. I believe that strongly. He loves my children, my sisters and brother, and all of my darling nieces and nephews, and my cousins. I say that every night when I go to bed. Yes, I say that. Because it's true. And he loves America, and he loves the world.
Yeah.
So whatever you're going through now, you'll sit here one day, God willing, and you'll be my age, and a young person will ask you, how was it coming along for 79, almost 80 years?
Yeah.
And seeing the same things happen over and over again. It's because of man's hubris. He cannot get over himself. His ego is just so great that he thinks he's God.
Yeah.
But you see, God doesn't have to do any of those things because he is great. He doesn't have to show you a thing. And people say, well, where was God when this happened? Where was God when that? I said he was right there. Because he gave you free will, and he wants to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't give you free will, you would be saying then, well, God is controlling. Well, no, you have a choice.
Yeah.
We all have a choice.
And each time when we choosing to hate, we choose otherwise.
Yeah, you have a choice.
Yeah.
You have a choice to try to get along with people and try to understand them. It's very hard to understand someone when you haven't walked in their shoes. And I know everyone says that, but it's true.
Yeah.
If you have not experienced that, but you can have empathy for people.
Yeah.
You can have empathy. There's a difference than total disregard.
You were talking about Nikki Giovanni the other night.
Yeah.
And there's a quote from her that I think right now is very prevalent, right? I think it's very easy for like racist people to be like, well, go back to Africa, as if like
Yeah.
for most Black Americans, that's not exactly your mother country, as you said that. It was severed. It's like, I'm home, actually. And her quote was, "I'm not trying to save America, but we have paid too much for it to be abandoned."
That's right. I'm with Nikki. When I saw her, Nikki, years ago when she was a young girl, and she was so pretty, and I listened to, that's what got me to look at her. I said, oh, she's such a pretty girl. And then I listened to her, and it was wonderful to hear her and to see someone of color, a lady, that was speaking out on the issues and with such grace and knowledge. And she was one of my favorites, and thank God she's still here with us, and she still is.
And still very outspoken.
Yes, and I believe, like her, it's too late to turn around. We've come too far. We used to sing a song in church, we come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. Well, no, we're not turning around. We have nowhere to go. This is our home. I was born here. My grandparents were. I've shown you. You've got the information.
Sure
We've gone
do.
back to 1847 or more. When we had our family reunion, we went past that. So we're not the first generation here. We're not the second.
Second to the third, or not even the fourth
We
or
didn't
fifth.
come over on Ellis Island with no money pinned in our jackets. No. We came up on the rough side of the mountain. But we're here. We're here. No, we're not going anywhere. Where are we going? This is home. Everybody else can be born in America, and they're American. Well, I was born here, my mother, father, and everybody else. And your grandfather, your great-grandfather worked the Scott's Paper Company, and I have his gold watch, which you'll get. And he worked there, and he took care of his family. We had a lovely home. We did all the things that America said you're supposed to do, and you'll prosper. And he worked at Scott's Paper, and he worked here, and the man here that was white got paid more for doing the same job that Daddy did.
And that wage gap,
But he still persevered.
Yeah.
But that's to tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah. We can be here. We can be here though. That way the audio picks you up. We can be
Oh,
here.
oh,
It doesn't
okay.
even matter about the cameras. They're,
Oh, all right. But it's you got to understand that.
Yeah.
So the person he did not falter. He had his family in mind. And not only Daddy, but a lot of daddies, a lot of granddaddies, a lot of uncles. They went to work. And they knew that they were being paid less, doing the same job as their counterpart. And the only reason the person got paid more, not because he did the job better, but simply because of the color of their skin. Now, if that's not beyond the pale, I don't know what is. Yeah. But that's pretty basically it. Now, that's a proven fact. So somebody want to say something, that's proven.
Yeah. People always want to say
People
something.
can
but
tell
it's
you that
always
right today. They can tell you that today. You can find that somewhere today. I'm not in the workforce today, but I bet you can find it. Because there's somebody up there that decided, in a position, in management, a few pennies less for them. Yeah. Nothing's changed. Towns and cities change, but people remain the same.
Just think you can say the same about time.
That's right.
Time changes, but people don't.
No, because each generation is raised the way the generation before wants to raise them. You have to want to choose what your parents taught you. And you have to say, I think I'll learn something else. Or you have to have your mind open when you go out to school, to college. Look around and learn. Everything Mom and Daddy told you might be all right, and maybe even what they told you was right for them. But it might not be right for you. And as I said, we're here to learn. That's why God has us on this earth. And he watches to see how we treat each other.
Yeah.
That's why when people say, well, where was God when that happened? I see him standing right there watching you. Nobody tell you to do it. Nobody tell you to do it. You had a mind of your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got this angel here on the right. Then you got this one. Hey. Yeah. That's the way it works. We all have to make mistakes. We all have to go through. We all have to pick and choose what we're going to do. We don't get away from it. And you don't get away from anything. Everything catches up with you. You get by. You can do wrong, and you'll get by for a while, but you will not get away. You might be on your deathbed. It might be your business. It might be a family member. But karma is going to get you.
Yeah.
And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I never got away with anything. I never did get away. Don't think I didn't try.
But you did.
I didn't.
But you never quite got away with that.
No. I had, you reap what you sow. That's right. And that's pretty much, the old folks will tell you that. The old folks will tell you that. But life is to be lived. We're not perfect. And we're here to see every day, and we do the best we can every day. And I think if all of us here in America would do that, we could be the best thing that ever happened to us. The best thing. All of us. We would be the biggest force in the world. But if we don't get ourselves together, we'll go the way of Rome, Greece, all of those big nations. They all went down because of hubris. Man.
Sometimes our own worst enemy, right?
What, dear?
Sometimes our own worst enemy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are.
Most times.
We really are our worst enemies sometimes.
Well, then I maybe I want to know if I were to another what we call police lynching tomorrow, and if I were to call or text you, and I love that you use emojis now, by the way. It's my favorite. You really don't have to use the iPhone. I live when Nini sends me emojis. I can't say it enough.
I love them. They look like little doll babies to me. You know how I am about that. I call it that mess.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on that mess.
But on the mess. But you know how to send an emoji, right?
I know how to send an emoji.
But if we were to fall witness to another one tomorrow, and in some degree of time there will be another one.
Oh yeah.
What do you say to what do we do? How do we move forward?
Well, we're going to move forward because, as you stated that Nikki said, we cannot go back. We're not going to Africa. This is our home.
Yeah.
And we've always moved forward. As far as lynching, you have to understand, this isn't anything new. It's new in your time. It would be new in your time.
Yeah.
You see, but it's the way things have been. In Roosevelt's time, there was at least noted, because you don't have that, what you call that, that instant gratification with that telephone. So things can be seen around the world. At least eight black women were hung doing that, but how many more? We don't know.
We don't know.
Because we did not have the technology back then.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But yet, I'm still sitting here with you today. You're still sitting there, and you went to college. Your mom went.
Yeah.
Your uncle went. Your brother, your dad, your sister, everybody.
Everybody went to college.
Okay? So that lynching, heaven forbid, it did not stop. You see, we have not been annihilated. The black person knew what to do, how to get along. You understand? And how to keep on pushing to get to where we are today. So there's always hope. There's always people who are going to pick up the banner and they're going to march forward. And so you will deal with it if you have to deal with it. How, I don't know. But your grandmother, your great-grandmother, I always say your grandma, it's your mom's grandmother. I remember her telling me a story. They called them the patty rollers, not the Klan. Now, see, there's a difference. Now, there's folks out here that don't know what the patty rollers were because their grandmother told them about them. They would ride and patrol the roads at night to make sure that black folks wasn't there. You couldn't be out. You understand? And so if they would catch you, you might be seen again, or you just might be beaten, sent home, and told you, say, look in, don't let me catch you out no more at this time of night. But she said that, Mama said that they lost a cousin. They heard the patty rollers coming, and everybody would run out of the house and hide in the woods. And they never found that girl. Now, don't know what happened to her. Something happened to her. She could have been thrown into the river. They had creeks down south, in the creek, they called it. But they never found her. And those patty rollers are really your takeoff on the police force. Because they also were people that were people of that ilk were used in order to catch runaway slaves from the north and bring them back. You see, and when you had Reconstruction, there was no need for that anymore. So when the system opened up for policing, they took that same mentality over into the police department. And so today, instead of catching you and taking you to the plantation, they catch you and put you in jail. That's your other plantation. That's the way I see it.
But that's the way
I
it
could
is.
be wrong.
You think about just the 13th Amendment, the fact that it puts you in a prison system that allows you to get no work when you get out.
Oh, no, you can't even vote unless you, I think you have to petition of some sort. You can get your rights back, okay? But just think of all the people that cannot vote. How many people come out and actually go to someone and say, would you help me get my voting privileges back? Yeah, that's a way to disarm you. There's less of you. You see? There's no one to fight. Our men are in prison. You get a record for nothing. You get a record for being black. That's basically it. I don't know what else to say. And it's not only men, our young ladies too. It's not only. So the system was set up for us to lose. To lose. Just like when that Mitch McConnell said to, when President Obama came, he says, oh, the only thing we're going to help you do is have one term. See, he set him up, but he had to.
He did.
But that was what they did back then. They said, we ain't going to, so no more slavery? That's it. So they tried to set us up to lose.
I want to talk then about, maybe in the vein of how, we spoke of Uncle Ben selling, right, and Aunt Jemima selling.
Yeah.
Cultural appropriation is maybe what they'll call it.
Yeah, okay.
Right? They love us to the extent that we make them money. Maybe what are your thoughts on this evolution of cultural appropriation, especially when it comes to black culture being used to make money? I think maybe like in the 80s it was like Bo Derek, right? With like black women have been wearing braids forever, but Bo Derek comes out the water with some braids on, and it's this new trend.
It was like they never saw plaits before.
It's like they never saw plaits before.
I thought it was based, I can't really tell you what I really thought it was. But it was a bit much.
Yeah.
I remember greatly because your mother was wearing the braids at that time.
Yeah.
And excellent student. And at that time, we were living in Mission Viejo, California. And she went out schoolhouse, and she noticed a difference in one of the teachers' attitude towards her. And this teacher mentioned her hair, like Well, I had to go out there and remind the lady that she's been wearing braids ever since she was a little
born.
girl.
Yeah,
you
she
know,
had some hair.
didn't get here 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But it was like I said before, you're invisible until someone else takes what you've always had or done, and they make money off of it.
Yeah.
But while you were wearing it or doing it, it was of no account.
It was atrocious.
Oh,
It was an abomination.
I'll tell you, when I was a young girl, they would say, oh, a Mack truck could go up your nose. That's because I had a big nose. So they, oh, Mack truck. Your lips are so big, you could probably eat, what? A watermelon. You know, I'm just being facetious now, but I'm just trying to tell you that the nose, my mouth.
They were the topic of conversation.
No, they were a topic of disdain. There was nothing good looking about it. And my bust and small waist and big hips, elephant in the back. That's what you were thought to have the ugliest shape in the world. And I was born with this shape.
Yeah. That's
Now,
what it is.
my men liked it, but that's the way it was.
Well, like,
but society did not see it as being pretty.
but it was fetishized.
I'm sorry?
It was fetishized, right? It was like, you know, black men may like it out of a natural.
Yes,
like black men
yes,
like
but
black
it was
women.
not the norm.
But then I think about even your reference to the slave master coming into the quarters, right?
Yes.
And what they would do after 5 with women, right?
Yeah.
And that is like, no, but they like it while it's something that they fetishize it, right?
They like to call people women of color, and I think other ladies will think that exotic.
Yeah.
Oh, they love the word.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
Yeah.
They will use the word exotic.
Yeah.
Now, you might not agree with me on a lot of the things that I've said today, but you have to agree on that exotic.
Yeah.
Because it's understood.
So then I think about that maybe because there's something that the public and men, right, black men, find exotic about Kim Kardashian.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And it's because of her and her lineage, her family, right? That like in the past 10 years, somehow they contributed to appreciation of having a bigger butt, whether it's real or not.
Yeah.
Or bigger lips, whether it's real or not, or bigger boobs, whether it's real or not, or you know, choosing to wear your hair the way that your hair doesn't naturally grow. Most times it's going to be some kind of black style, right? It's like, again, it's cultural appropriation, and then we sit here and we're able to fetishize the exoticism of this. Because if our own women have it on, it's regular.
It's not even seen. And if it is seen in a negative way. I was not seen. I had all of those things. This, small waist.
Yeah.
Right? But no. And so I feel funny when someone else can come along from another culture and take everything that I, as a black woman, was born with, and the world says, oh, I want it. Well, you had it. I had it.
Yeah.
All you had to do was look at me.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't look at me. It was not the package, but it was not the right person presenting it. It had to be put in another package to be accepted. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You understand?
So I mean, like, maybe,
And so this child can come up and take everything. Lips that I was told were ugly. My backside looked like an elephant. Lips so big, nose so big, and all of that. And she can make money and become famous. And when they have, even on Alex Trebek's, which I love, Jeopardy.
Jeopardy, come on.
Or, no, not Alex, I'm sorry, but Steve, that I look at Steve, Family Feud or
Stacey
something.
Harvey, yeah.
Yeah, and they might have up there who's got could you name this or name that? And they'll name different women. They'll say J-Lo, and then they'll say this one or that one. And I said they should have said Beyonce first. I said, I really don't understand.
Yeah.
Now, Beyonce might be up there, but she ain't 1st. It's the Kardashian child. I think that's a bit much.
Yeah. It's always that referenced as like the.
It's always somebody else other than the black woman. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we just sat when you get my age and just watch it. You know, it's like a reel
Yeah.
coming off in a movie.
Yeah.
And look where you are today. The same thing. We went back basically to the time when I was a young person. That's where the world is today. Now that is something to speak about.
Maybe almost to say that
Yeah.
somebody helped in making America great
Well,
again.
all I can say is that I'm very proud of who I am. I'm more than the 3rd generation in this country. And some people have only been here, I'll call it 15 minutes. So that's pretty much it. And they know who they are.
Yeah.
Making America great again. They came from Prussia to Alaska. And I know how they made their money with liquor, setting up shanty towns following the railroad and the gold. And his children are the 3rd generation Americans. So when they say go back, I'm already home. I didn't get here 15 minutes ago. My generation must have been, I'm saying they were in that first slave transatlantic coming here.
Yeah.
That's right. So you don't get disheartened. You keep fighting for the things that they say we're supposed to have in the Constitution of these United States of America. When you became an Eagle Scout, and I told you then that this was your country,
Yeah.
it's the land of your birth. This is your country. It's the grandest on earth. I pledge thee my allegiance to America the bold, for this is my country to have and to hold. Be there a man with soul so dead, who never to himself have said, this is my own true land. This is my own true land. So this is our country. All of us that fought and died. My grandfather fought in the First World War, came home and died with TB. Your uncles, these are greats for you. Korean War. Before that, it was the Second World War. I fly my flag every 4th of July and on veterans. Why? And Pop, peacetime. Veteran, he's right out there in Boulder.
Yeah.
So our family, since World War I, has been in every war. And before then, maybe, but I cannot honestly say. But black people, since
But
Crispus
our family has.
Attucks.
Yeah, our family has. I know it.
Yeah, but since 1776. And if that picture over there that you look at with George Washington crossing the Delaware, if that picture is true, then there was a chocolate drop in that boat too. So
I know it.
I'm very proud of to see the young people today marching and protesting and bringing attention to the injustices. And I'm very proud of all of the young people who have decided to march with us. And the only thing that I can say is that I wish them Godspeed. And it's worth fighting for. This is the only home I know. When I travel and come back to America, I say, thank God that I'm home. And this is my home. No one's going to make me move. So this little black lady is going to be here until she has her little piece in the ground, and that's the end of it. So I thank you for having your grandma that you named Nini.
I sure did. Because you tried another name and it just didn't work.
I tried another name.
You tried,
I wanted to be Grandy, but he wouldn't call me Grandy. He looked at me one day and said, Nini. I said, oh, no. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you. Always been proud of you. I love you, and I want the best for you. And you just keeping on. That's what they would tell us, the old folks. You just keep keeping on. You find out what you have to do, and you try your level best to do it. And if you can't do anything good, then sit down and cross your legs. That's all I have to say.
And I love you into eternity.
I love you into eternity.
I appreciate you. I'm sure for the people listening, they appreciate the perspective. And thank you kindly for being on the Brink.
Thanks, Mahis.
That's it.